Greetings, chess players, and welcome to another. What is this? This is Thursday evening with the Gomes Chess Club, Gomes Elementary School in Fremont. My name is Chris Torres, and I am in charge of daily chess musings. And tonight I'm going to play a slower game. I've asked the students at Gomes to send me. I need to log in, first of all. I'm not logged in. There we go. Let's log in. Good thing it doesn't show my password to everybody. Otherwise, I'd have to change that right away. I've asked people to send me a chess request for 15 minutes with a 10-second increment. So I'm going to play a slower game tonight. And let's see. I go to my play chess area, and I should see, Adit C sent me a 10-minute, but I want a 15-minute with a 10-second increment. Dong Mei Gao sent me a 3-minute. It needs to be a 15, what am I saying? 15 minutes with a 10-second increment. Let's see. Here's a 15 with 10. I see one. And it looks like VDoug. VDoug, we are going to be playing, and I think I talked to you before our broadcast, VDoug. Excellent. All right, so VDoug starts with a pawn in the center. I put a pawn in the center, e4, e5. Bishop c4, it's a good developing move, threatening the belly button, and I'm going to play knight f6. And if you didn't get chosen this week, just watch along in the broadcast. And maybe next week you will be chosen. Now I have this opportunity to do this. I think it's called the Frankenstein Dracula variation. Too bad I don't know. I'm trying to remember now. So if my knight takes, then his bishop takes, I believe, and all sorts of nonsense starts happening. My king takes, and then his knight takes, and that's a check. It's a very crazy line. And you know what? I better book up on it because it is October. So I should be learning that again, just for the seasonal aspect of it. However, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to play knight c6 because I don't remember it. So I just developed two knights. Each one of my knights develops, and my opponent does the same thing. Each of our knights are developing, controlling two center squares of the opposite color than what they're sitting on. I could play an Italian four knights, or I could go for the fork trick. I think I'm going to play the fork trick. So I play knight takes e4. If my opponent plays knight takes e4, then I play d5, forking the bishop and the knight. It's called the fork trick. The idea is we trade a piece, but I'm left with the center pawn, and my opponent is not. So it's considered a little bit of a mistake for white, but I have some research that I'm going to be discussing in 2022 about the fork trick. I've discovered something interesting about it, and it might not be as cut and dry a mistake as we thought. I'm going to go ahead and erase some of these. Well, you know what? I'll leave the arrows there just to see. And VDoug, I had a chance to speak with him before the broadcast. Let's see. Yeah, VDunt. Yep. He was in fact, the first guy in chess class today that I talked to. Here's the fork. So again, I am forking a bishop and a knight, and I have one center pawn left afterwards. So I'll get a piece back, and I'll still have a center pawn. That's the idea of the fork trick. I did a pretty cool lesson on the fork trick. A couple of them, actually. If you look at a couple of the analyze that, it would show up occasionally. And I also did a lesson a long time ago on my blog called Fork, Trick, or Treat. And it's another good lesson. All right, so I take, and I'm assuming he's going to take back. And then right here, I'm trying to remember what the best move is considered for black. I actually prefer something different, though. The best move for black, I believe, is developing this bishop, supposedly. But I've always enjoyed playing queen. Oh, wait. Let me think about this before I get going. Before I get going with my cuckoo, would I always no, I didn't always prefer queen f6. In fact, I seem to recall having trouble after playing queen f6 one time. So instead, I am going to play. I want to get castled, so I'm really leaning toward moving the bishop on f8, and I'm going to play a bishop c5. This way, I can castle. And again, Ravindra and anybody else who sent me a challenge, I'm just playing the one game tonight, but maybe the next time I play a slower game like this, I'll choose somebody else. I will make sure that I write down that I played VDUG, and we'll kind of go through and make sure. I'll make sure everybody gets a chance. And Vedant Castles seems reasonable. And what I'm wondering now is, should I bring this bishop out and pin his knight to his queen? Should I do that? He does get a check if I do that, but I mean he's gonna. I think I better, because otherwise he can take here with check. I take back, and then he can take in the center, and that would be dangerous. That would be very dangerous, if not bad for me. I like the 15 and 10 time control, which is why I'm going to be using it for the Eid Fall Classic. And I'll be making an announcement about that coming up. It's going to be an online rated tournament to raise awareness for the wonderful Eid Foundation. And I'm going to go ahead and castle. I've been meaning to. So I kind of like, right now I have the center pawn. So I'm controlling more space than my opponent. He develops with the threat against my queen. Now if I take this bishop and he takes, and then I take, but then he takes here. See this? Watch, guys. So if I play queen takes bishop, he could play knight takes, then I could play bishop takes, then he could play bishop takes. So he gets one more take at the end of all this fun. Let me erase these arrows because it's going to confuse me. I draw it for you guys, but it kind of clutters my perspective. Let's see. F6 might be an interesting move to play here. If I play F6, I'm interposing with the pawn. So if I do this, I'm interposing with the pawn, and then I will be bringing my knight there as soon as possible to add to the pressure on this pin. So I'm going to play F6. But, you know, in general, moving these F-pawns is a very dangerous proposition. It opens up trouble for you on this kind of diagonal. And sometimes on this kind of diagonal, too. So let's see. I said that I wanted to bring my knight up to D5, add more pressure to the pin. And that's what I'm going to do. Does that mean I'm losing the pawn on B7 potentially? Yeah, but I think it's worth it. I think it's a worthy trade. If he takes here, I take. If he takes here, I take here with check. And that seems better for black. Yeah, feel free to chat in the YouTube. I just see that right now. If you want to chat in the YouTube, that's fine. Just keep it polite. This is fun. It's both exciting because it's live chess, and educational because I'm taking you through my thought process. And who knows, maybe I make a tremendous mistake. It happens occasionally against students. Couple few times a year, students beat me, and they get special prizes. Putting the question to my bishop. I could take with check right now, but he can block with his bishop. See, his bishop's going back. If I drop my bishop back, he gets to put that in the way, the other pawn in the way. This is a little tricky. I need to stop and think. Checks, captures, threats. Checks, captures, threats. Gotta stop and think on move 12. Interesting. Interesting. I'm analyzing all my checks, captures, and threats. White has just played h3, putting the question to my bishop. The problem, see, I failed to realize something earlier. This kind of setup is very useful with the knight and bishop, on this pin. But he's got this unusual bishop here, adding one extra defender. So it's not nearly as good as I thought it was, and I've invested some time and energy into this now. And I think it's just going to lead to a trade. I think it's just going to lead to a trade of bishops and knights. So I'm gonna take with the knight first. It's more forcing because it's a check. So knight takes f3 check. And I suspect his bishop's going to take back. We'll see. And then I'll probably take with the bishop, and then he gets to develop a queen. Let's see what Vedant... Yeah, he does that. And now I take... And now he'll get to develop a queen. He gets to capture back with his queen, meaning he'll have two pieces in the game. And I only have one. So he has a lead in development, 2 pieces versus my 1, but I have a lead in space. And it's my turn right now, so I can even up development, and so my lead in space is a little more permanent. I have to be careful because his queen is also threatening, right, b7. Let's see. Let us see. If his queen takes, I can always put a rook there and get the 7th rank, though. This is true. Bringing my queen up here would normally be good, but this is, this is like super defended, so I'm not sure I'm going to really get a lot from there. This is kind of a key move for me. I need a strategy before I move. And right now, I do not have the plan in my mind as to what I want my queen and rooks to be doing. And so I'm going to take a moment or two to come up with that. Let's see. And I'm burning a little bit of time, but it's okay. I got 10-second increment. The only thing I got to worry about is showing up late for my next lesson, which is at 7 o'clock. I was slower getting the broadcast started. All right, I want my queen to see outside of my pawn structure. And the f6 pawn is pinned. I'm going to unify my rooks. Pawn in the center, castle, unify rooks. I've done all 3 things. And if Vedant takes, I'm going to slide a rook, one of these 2, into the B file, and then get this down there. That's my plan. In fact, if that queen goes there, I'm going to move my rook over. Okay. And then I do this. And then I'm going to get a rook to the 7th rank. I got to be, see, I still have to be careful about this lousy diagonal here, right? On my king. I got to be really careful about that. Right now I have this square guarded by my own queen, so, but he can, and this square guarded by my rook. So he can't retreat with a check. I gave him 1 pawn, but it's taking him a couple tempo. And now, see, here's the danger of it, right, guys? Let me show you something. Right now, Vedant is threatening to put his queen here, which would be threatening my bishop and my king, right? That's the danger. You get all these problems when you move your f-pawn early like I did. It seemed worth it at the time, but now we're going to find out for real. Was it really worth it? See, I cannot take the 7th rank as I was hoping. Yeah, so maybe I just lost a pawn there, Anna. I'm gonna stack my queens, try and trade queens, and get an extra piece developed. Is my plan. And Vedant, you're doing very good right now. I've made a couple mistakes. My chess is not optimum tonight, and I'm noticing that. All right. So I have 2 pieces developed and a pawn in the center, but he has an extra pawn. So he has a lead in material. I have a lead in space and force. Checks, captures, threats. Checks, captures, threats. Vidug or Vedant has just played defending his b2 pawn with rook a to b1, obviously. And now, I mean, I could add more pressure, but he could just scoot that pawn forward. Still, I think I want to. I'm going to play rook a to b8, adding more pressure. Now my plan is to get an a5 in here. If he scoots this pawn forward, then I'm going to play a5. I'm going to weaponize my isolated pawn, and then hopefully, ooh, and he didn't. He's going to let me have the pawn back. I didn't expect that. All right, so I definitely think that may have been a mistake, because now when I take here, yeah, he needed to play b3 there. I was expecting b3 all. 100% I was expecting b3. Okay. Now I have a rook in the 7th rank. A rook in the 7th rank is a very powerful and dangerous thing indeed. Should I take with my bishop? Probably. Yes. Yes, I probably should. I mean, he could play c3, but he's giving me another one then, right? So, all right, I'll take with the bishop. And now I'm starting to get maybe some dangerous coordination with my rook and bishop here. He still has this guy out there defending f2, but yeah. Let's see what Vedant is going to do. I am ahead in material now. I have 6 pawns. He only has 5. I have a rook in the 7th rank. A rook in the 7th rank is good for a lot of reasons. So this, I know it's rank 2, but we still call it the 7th in chess since I'm black. It's good because it attacks all the pawns that haven't moved. It can hold the king hostage, so the king can't play in the endgame. And any pawn that has moved, it can attack from the backside. All right. So let's see. I mean, I would love. Yeah, there's a few different ways to go about winning this kind of game, but I think taking another pawn makes a lot of sense. Now I have this dangerous outside pass pawn. Dangerous outside pass pawn. A pass pawn is a pawn that cannot be stopped by another pawn. What I'm going to try and do is push the a pawn just straight on down the board and turn it into a queen. That is now my plan. There were other ways of going about it too, but that one just seems the simplest. Simple plans are good plans. I thought he might do that. I thought he might do that. And the answer here is moving my bishop back, keeping it on this key diagonal with his king. So I'm going to fall back with my bishop. It's on the same diagonal as his king. He scoots forward. I guess that's a little bit of a threat. That's a little bit of a threat. Good job, Vedant. You found yourself a little bit of a threat. But before that can be anything of trouble, I'm going to move my bishop back to where it was. Okay. And I want to get this rook or this a-pawn moving very quickly, especially with my bishop influencing the queening square. But I think I'm gonna bring my king into the endgame first. Gonna move my king out. Kings are active pieces in the endgame, and your king wants to be active. Certainly, a little bit is a matter of taste here. Meaning I could have gone with passed pawns must be pushed, or I could have gone with the king must be active in the endgame. These are two of the famous 30 rules of chess, the 10 endgame rules. You'll find the 30 rules of chess. So if you go to dailychessmusings.com, you can find the fork trick or treat, a whole bunch about the fork trick. And you can also search for the 30 rules of chess. Once again, my name is Chris Torres. You are watching a live game that I am doing with the Gomes Elementary School Chess Club in Fremont. It looks like the pawn is free on f2. So I'm going to go ahead and take it because I'm threatening his bishop as well. In fact, forcing a trade of bishops. Forcing a trade of bishops. The problem with forcing the trade of bishops is after I take back with my rook, I guess his rook can move and win my a-pawn. So that's the one trouble with what I did here. I won a pawn here, but, oh, he didn't do it. He could have moved his rook over there to get rid of that dangerous a-pawn. That would have been the best move, Vedant, if you watch this broadcast later on. And, oh yeah, so my name is Chris Torres. I am the creator of Daily Chess Musings. This is big online chess community. I call it Daily Chess Musings because I had been running the Chess Musings blog. I can take here a check. The Chess Musings blog for 13 years maybe. And I wanted to upgrade it, but chessmusings.com was taken. And I thought to myself, one of the things I always tell my students is they should try and do a little bit of chess every day. Daily practice, daily habit. It's a good habit. And so Daily Chess Musings was free. And I went ahead and took it. So my website and my online community is Daily Chess Musings. You can find our club on chess.com. I've got over 2,000 members of our club. We're just over a year old. I'm going to say check. We are in opposition, meaning his king has to go back. Then I'll say check again and win a pawn on the other side of the board. So I used opposition just like we were talking about in our endgame lesson. And eventually I just need to be promoting a pawn. It's what I got to do. But I go here. The idea is I can say check and make room for my my king to come out, or something else. All right. So he's thinking about coming down here and taking this pawn, and then maybe this. Ooh, that could be dangerous. Did I make a little mistake here? We'll find out. Check. So I'm threatening this pawn here. He could go there. Nope, he doesn't. So I'm going to take here. And now he can take here, and I think he probably will. And then what it's time to do is start pushing past pawns. In fact, it's been time to do that for a long time. But first, I'm going to defend here. I'm, taking away his counter chances, and then I'll start pushing a pass pawn. I want my rook to be free to go wherever it wants to go. And also, it's shielding my king from check, so he can't check me. He can't capture anything freely. And his king is cut off from the action. His king is cut off from the action. Oops, what am I doing there? My arrows are out of control. Sometimes that happens. Long day of chess, arrows get out of control. Just making sure he doesn't have a tactic here. He does not. So I'm going to go ahead, scoot the pawn forward. Scoot the pawn forward. And then get a rook behind it is the next step. So I say check. And then I put a rook behind the pass pawn. Rook behind the pass pawn. Now I can boom, boom, boom. 3 squares away. He gets a rook in front. Good for him. My king is active, though. I suspect his king will probably go to c3. Yep. And that's okay, because he's got to move somewhere. He either has to move his rook or his king. I suspect he's going to move his king, and then I can move my king forward. And looks like, even though I started a little bit... yeah, go ahead, Sylvia. What do you want to ask? Sylvia has a question. And if anybody else has a question, you're more than welcome to ask that as well. And there's a couple different technique things like... my brother is Jonah Romero. Do you know him? I am Isabella. I might know your brother. I've taught a lot of Jonahs over the years. And I need to let my student know that I am running late. Let me find my phone down there. And Sylvia, yes. Isabella, you can leave if you need to go someplace. Pretty soon I'm going to need to go someplace to my next lesson. But you might learn some good technique if you stick around. Because I'm trying to use good technique. I'm trying to use good technique here, right at the end. Oh, and he dropped back. All right. Let's see. Speaking of using good technique, I'm getting distracted, a little bit tired, late in the game here. He's threatening to check me. You know, that feels a little uncomfortable. I'm going to scoot this pawn forward, take away his check. I might scoot this pawn forward, slide the rook over, and then up and say checkmate, just with a in fact, I think I'm going to go for that. If he takes my pawn here, I'm just going to scoot my rook up and say checkmate. I don't need to promote to a queen because I know my checkmating patterns. Excellent, excellent. That was a fun game. I want to show you guys one more quick thing before I go, and that is maybe you can see this. Maybe my screen is sized so that it's not. My screen might be sized so that it's not showable, but right after you finish your game, you got these cool things called analysis and game report. And these are very useful buttons that you can push. And And later on, I will certainly be going back through and looking at this game as well. Vedant, that was a real pleasure. Thank you so much to the Gomes Elementary School and everybody else who joined in for the live stream this week. If I play another game of this time control, I will play it against another player. All right? Okay. Excellent job, everybody. It was wonderful, wonderful playing chess and talking chess with you guys tonight. Have a great evening. Bye. Oh, and make sure you like and subscribe to the Daily Chess Musings YouTube channel. It'll help us out. Let me go ahead and end this stream the proper way. Bye.